Welcome to the Seniors Rock Show, presented by the Law Office of Michael Robinson, PC, on News Radio, Wham 1180. The Seniors Rock Show, a lively weekly discussion shining a bright light on aging with fun, entertainment, and important info for all adults. Join in with your comments or questions. Call or text 222-1180 or 1-800-295-1180. Now from the News Radio Wham 1180 studio in downtown Rochester, here's your host, Joanna Palvino.
Good afternoon. I am Joanna, and just so you're up to date here, Mike Robinson is off today, and we did take care of that, though. We selected a guest, a co-host that is quite familiar with radio and seniors. How about that? And he's joining me now. So I'd like to do a big Seniors Rock welcome to Mike Mateo. He's the general manager of the Village at Unity. Thank you so much for co-hosting today, Mike, and good afternoon to you.
Well, good afternoon. Hi, Joanna. I am so happy to fill in. I've not been behind a live mic since the Easter Irondequoit Sports Television days a few years ago. It feels so good to be back.
Yeah, it sounds good too, and you've got quite a legacy, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But I'm wondering if you're, it's been a while, but I don't think you're alone right now. Is Loki somewhere nearby? Loki, the Norse god of mischief?
Yeah, Loki is passed out on the floor next to me. He's had a busy morning,
Uh,
running some errands and playing outside. So he's sound asleep underneath the big ceiling fan in the air conditioning.
well, he's a working dog for sure because I know you do take him to the Village at Unity, and he's quite popular over there as he is when anyone sees him. He's a beautiful dog. Tell them what kind of a dog he is.
Loki's an American Akita. We got him as a puppy, 12 weeks old and 25 pounds. So he was never really puppy sized when we got, and he's been our constant companion since the pandemic started in April of 2020. He's amazing. We call him the director of smiles at the
Ah,
Village because he just makes everybody happy whenever they see him. He has
he
his
does.
fans and his friends. Yes, he does.
You cannot help but smiling when you see this dog, folks. And we did post pictures of him on the Facebook page. So it's seniorsrockradio.com, or not .com, but Seniors Rock Radio on Facebook. So just to let you know who Mike Mateo is, he is a bit of a mischief maker himself, in a good way, though. He has extensive knowledge about elders, and he does, as I said, know about radio. So if you've been listening to Wham for a long time, you might remember Mike's dad, Matt Mateo, and he was on the air back in the 60s. And in fact, true story, Mike just got a copy of audio from 1968 of his dad signing off the news on this station, WHAM. And that was thanks to Joe LaMonaco. And Joe located this tape, and he's still at the station, of course. And Mike, I bet you were totally surprised when you got the audio from about your dad, or from your dad, not from your dad, from Joe, of your dad, just the other day.
I guess it was amazing. It was just amazing. My dad was 36 years old when it was recorded. I sent it to my wife and my sister and my son was only 3 when my dad passed away, so he doesn't remember what he sounded like. So, Joe, thank you so much for this gift for my family. It means more than you can know.
What a wonderful gift for sure. And I'm so happy that he shared that with you. And Joe's been doing a lot of that work. But before we talk about that, I wondered, um, the audio of your dad, I think you still have that. We'd like to play a little bit of that if you don't mind.
Oh, that would be great. I think I sent the clip to you, so go ahead.
All right, Pam, play the audio of Matt Mateo signing off of the news in 1968 on WHAM 1180.
That's the news and the sports. This is Matt Mateo reporting. The news at noon from the WHAM News Center with Matt Mateo. Next news will be at 1 o'clock this afternoon here at the 1180 spot in Rochester, New York.
That sounded so awesome.
Oh, that goes right to the heart. Holy cow.
You're gonna make me cry now. Stop it.
Oh
I'm
my
not
goodness.
looking at you. I can see him on the Zoom, and I'm telling you, I could tell there's emotion there.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, listeners, stories do have emotion. So if you have one and you'd like to share, maybe you go way back to Wham in the 60s like I do, and well, BBF too, of course. I was a teenager then. But if you have a story for us about someone on Wham, or something, that you recall over the last 100 years, call us and share. It's 585-222-1180. We are live. And if you're out of town, call 800-295-1180. Again, 222-1180. Come on, join us. This is going to be a fun show. And Mike Mateo is here with us. And speaking of Wham's 100-year anniversary this year, Joe LaMonaco, as we mentioned earlier, has been releasing podcasts chronicling this flagship station that we're on right now. And did you know that George Eastman himself gave this station the call letters? And I understand the story. There's so much history here that George wanted a way to promote his beloved RPO. And the Philharmonic was very special to him, as were so many other things that he helped with in the city and, as it was growing. So we'll get the story directly from Joe. LaMonaco in a few weeks. He's going to be our guest here on the show. And I want to know how he found all these broadcasters. I know where some of them are. Some of them are across the street from me, or one of them is anyway. But that's a story in itself. So this is a weekly series that he does. It comes out every Wednesday, and it's live audio interviews, like former and current ones, Mike, of the WHM staff, and stories like you just heard in audio tapes that go back like from your dad. So now I can stop crying. Okay. On the Rock Show, we do try to be positive, we reminisce, or we just have fun. Just for this hour every Saturday. You're going to hear a lot about fun today because there's a lot of that happening at the Village at Unity. Mike, the week between our show goes really quickly, just like the show does. And now with everything opening up, it seems like there's crowds everywhere back in the hustle and bustle. And we cover a lot of things here on the Seniors Rock Show every Saturday. But I'll have to admit, fun is one of my favorites. So you, as a guest and also a co-host, and also our other guest, Deanna, are both known for their creative, fun ways. So, folks, if you just tuned in, I'm talking to Mike Mateo. He's our co-host and guest. He's the general manager of the Village at Unity, a leisure care retirement community. And we're going to be joined after the break with the program manager from the Village. Her name is Deanna Crawford. They say retirement is different at the Village, and it's a place where they say, it's a place where residents thrive, and they're not only cared for, but they're cared about. And I'm here to tell you it's true because I've witnessed it myself. And I didn't even know they had a thing called the Village Vibe. But I was telling Mike how I felt when I was on his campus, and he said, that's the Village Vibe. So I'd like to introduce my co host for today, Mike Mateo. Happy Saturday, Mike. What do you have for us today?
Well, coming to you live from my dad's WHEM antique desk in beautiful Prattsburg, New York, which is where my wife and I have our home. It's a gorgeous day out. We're expecting a little thunderstorm later today, and we're just enjoying life, which is what show is all about.
Absolutely. And I think that's what the Village is all about too, because as I said, there's just there's always things going on there. We're going to hear more about that from Deanna in a little bit. But I just tell us a little bit about I guess when I think about I'm gonna go back to what the show is about, and that is helping people to understand what to do when they're in a situation that is about aging. And one of the first things that comes up is, where do I start? So I'm going to ask you, because you are an expert, to give us a basic course on the levels of care that are available today in senior housing communities, not just with yours, but all of them, because I know you do know these things. And this will help other people determine what level they or someone they love might need. So if you don't mind, we'll start with that.
It's fantastic. You basically start with asking questions and taking lots of notes as to where you want to be. Most folks that are living in their own homes that they've lived in for a long time, or maybe they haven't. Now is a great time to think about selling it. With the way that the real estate market is now, folks are making double what their property was worth a couple of 3 years ago. So if you want that little nest egg, now would be a good time to have that conversation. Some folks move into townhomes and get rid of their house with their lawn care and all of that kind of stuff. Some folks move into more of a community setting like the Village at Unity and several other communities in the area where it's independent living. It's an apartment building with some really cool services involved, and some of that is food and transportation and housekeeping and program, which is what Deanna is going to be talking about. And that's really first step. Now, folks that have stayed in their houses a little bit longer and maybe can't be as independent as they want, they can always hire services, folks that will come in and help them throughout the day. We get a lot of that, and that's a great thing to have because folks maybe just need that little bit of help from a home care service. The next step typically is assisted living or assisted living with an enhanced license. Those are run by the state. Those are licensed communities where most independents are not. Folks that go into that just need a little more help throughout the day, 3 meals and some more structured product throughout their day. From there, you can go into memory care or an Alzheimer's type community. We call ours Opal, which is an early onset dementia community. And from there, it goes really to skilled nursing. So you jump in, it's kind of like buying a computer. You jump in at some point, but ask a lot of questions and find out what is comfortable for you because it's not a one size fits all. It is really customized to what you, the resident, the customer, wants to experience.
Yes, absolutely. And there are so many choices, folks. Go to the experts, just like we tell you when Mike Robinson's here for estate planning. Get help from someone who knows what's happening because these things change all the time. I mean, constantly. And it's hard for us that are involved in the senior arena to keep up with it, never mind if you've just entered. So don't feel bad asking for help. And the folks at the villages, the Village at Unity can help. Mike will direct you, Deanna will direct you. Go to the website to any of the, good communities we have in town here and get some direction. And then you will have a course, right, Mike? You'll have a direction for yourself because it isn't something you magically come up with.
Oh, absolutely. Some of our customers we've been working with for 10 years or more.
Yep. Awesome. We're going to talk some more. So if you're listening to Seniors Rock Radio, we'll be right back after this break with Village at Unity's program manager. Her name's Deanna Crawford. One fun and creative woman. Stay right there on News Radio Wham 1180.
Rockvox Recording and Production is Western New York's first purpose-built podcast and live stream studio, featuring Zcam digital cinema cameras, Rode Procaster microphones, and over 25 years of audio and visual production experience. Rockvox also specializes in audiobook production for independent and self-published authors, as well as voiceover recording for radio, TV, film, and telephony. Learn more about our Bushnell's Basin studios and services at ROCVOX.com or follow us on social media. Mouth off at Rockvox.
Welcome back to the Seniors Rock Radio Show. And we are here now with Deanna Crawford. She's the program manager at the Village at Unity in Greece, New York, and she's our guest today. Deanna is a lifelong resident of the west side of Rochester. The west side is the best side. We'd like to take a minute now to congratulate Deanna and her daughter, Sydney, who just graduated from SUNY Brockport. Guess what? Yesterday. Congratulations, Deanna. And Deanna also tells us that her sons, Jason and Nick, are both planning to attend Brockport. So be proud, Deanna, and also be proud that you grew your own career while raising a family, and that's not easy to do. So earning a career from Rochester Business Institute and growing to her current position as program manager at the Village at Unity. It sounds like you've landed in the perfect position, Deanna. And I understand your creative nature shines, and I've seen it myself with the things you plan. You're going to share some of that today. And you put your residents at the Village front and center, and we want to hear more about that. So welcome to the Seniors Rock Show, Deanna Crawford.
Thank you, Joanna. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here today.
We're happy to have you. And I think Matt's happy to have you, too. He sees you on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Mike, I said Matt. Oh boy, that was channeling. Sorry about that.
You were channeling. Hi, Dee. How are you?
Good, Mike. How are you?
Good. Happy Saturday. Congratulations to Sydney. That is awesome.
Thank you so much. We're so excited that she is
so
finally
cool.
done.
So let's share a little bit. Let's go back in time a little bit because you were very young when you started the Village. You were actually there when I started, right around the same time. Back it was the early 90s. And so many things have changed. Tell us what are some of your favorite memories that you've seen working at the Village over the years?
So to go back a little bit, I started at the Village in 1994 as a server. when I was graduated from RBI. Once I graduated from RBI, I left. It was about 6 years after I originally started. And times were so different then. It was so much different, but amazing, just the same. It was just the village at that time. We didn't have, the West Village, and it was the village in what was called Enriched Living, which is now the Hamlet. So yeah, I was there for 6 years. And then when I had my youngest son went into kindergarten is when I decided to go back to work, and I returned to the village at that time. And I was there for 6 years working at the front desk. And then I left to get some experience in programs because that's what I really, really wanted to do. I'm seeing all the fun stuff that the programs department did through the years. I remember, watching them set up for events and things and thinking to myself, that's what I want to do when I grow up. So, and that's what I'm doing now. And I love it.
That's
I love
awesome.
I love it. I love your story, Deanna, and that you've seen a lot of changes. And talk about changes. I really like what you did during the pandemic because you just stepped up to the plate and said, "We're going to do this anyway." Tell them about what you did with the music on the truck. Tell them that story.
Yeah. So during the start of the pandemic, we were just thinking, how are we going to, bring activities to the residents? How are we going to do events and programs? And one thing with the residents being so isolated during the pandemic and stuck in their apartments, we know that music is so therapeutic. And we thought, how can we get the music? We would bring them activities up and down the hallways on carts, and we would play music over a speaker, but we wanted that live music feel because there's nothing like it. And we decided to take one of our flatbed trucks that our maintenance department uses, and we set them up like a stage. And we had our first concert in April. And what we did is we put our musician on the back of the bed, and we drove him around the perimeter of the building, and we stopped at each wing, and he would play for 15 minutes. The residents came out onto their porches, so they were, safely distanced from everybody. And they would play for 15 minutes, and it was successful the first time. And so we continued to do it throughout that summer until the weather got cold.
So, Dee, COVID was horrible and it was difficult. Was there anything that came out good for your department of having to rethink things?
Absolutely. We found that there was nothing that we couldn't do. Where there's a will, there's a way. And whatever it was, we're able to find a way to do it now. There's nothing that really stops us. There's no obstacles in our way. And we found that the pandemic taught us that, we'll find a way to do it.
There is a silver lining, right? Now, I'm going to ask you real quick because we only have about a minute left here on this segment, but what is your favorite resident program that you've done so far? You've done so many, and we'll talk about what's coming up in the next segment with Mike, but any memories before we go to break?
Yeah, I would have to say my most heartwarming memory, actually, I don't have a favorite, but the one that's touched me the most was probably May of 2020. We decided to have a resident family parade, which a lot of people did through the pandemic, for birthdays and whatever. But what made ours so different was we had about 50 cars in our lineup. Families were dressed up, and it was just amazing seeing the joy on the residents' faces.
It's been wonderful having you here, Deanna. Thank you for what you do for the residents and for all of the folks that you come in contact with. You're just that kind of person. You're a bright light. So thanks for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we're going to do more on the Village Vibe coming up next on Seniors Rock Radio and in Dad's voice, News Leader, WHAM 1180.
Hello, and we're really glad you're listening to Seniors Rock Radio. Nice job on the music bumps, Pam. We like to let those music bumps play a little bit after the news just to get you back in the mood. And we're here every Saturday from noon till 1. It goes by quick. It's 1 hour to be with you. And we are live, which means you can call us. And that's the cool thing about the show. One of the cool things, it's 585-222-1180 or 1-800-295-1180. Questions, comments, anything. Give us a call. We're here. And this show is for you. And it's brought to you by our sponsors. And being live is a huge gift for you to be able to connect with us and with thousands of other listeners because something you ask might help someone else. So remember that and tune in whenever you can and give us a buzz today or anytime. And if you don't want to be on the air, you can just leave the question with Pam. She'll answer the phone and we will answer it on the air, or we can get back to you after the show. So I'm going to get back to the show myself right now. And today, my guest expert and co host is Mike Mateo. He's the general manager of the Village at Unity. Mike knows a thing or two about senior living communities and how to make them different, is the way I'd like to say. That's how I think of the Village at Unity. It's different. And I have another question for you, Mike. We had somebody send in something here on the website today. It's from Ellen in Brighton. And she's asking, she said, the Village sounds wonderful, but how do I know if I can afford it? Can you answer that?
That is a fantastic question. And no, I cannot, but we have people that can help you with that. So different communities cost different things. One of the things to look at is what's included with your price. Is it a base price and everything else is an add-on? Or is it like an all-inclusive resort where you don't pay anything more? All of the services are included. What helps people, and this is a service that the Village at Unity offers, is being able to work with a financial concierge. This is a third party that we can connect you with that will spend an hour for free. There's no charge to you to go through your finances and determine how much money you have, how much money you're spending, and how much money you can afford on monthly rent. And from there, you can make an informed decision as to where you want to live. It's a fantastic service. We don't get the answers, by the way. That's not something that they call the Village back and say,
It's
oh,
very
yeah, they can do
private.
that.
Yeah.
It's very private, and it's a one-on-one, over the phone conversation, and they'll come back with a report to say this could be your monthly, this is how much you can spend for monthly. So it's all good.
What a great service that is. And I don't think all of the communities offer that, but the Village at Unity does. And I would take advantage of that, folks, if you're in the beginning of looking for housing. And, the financial part is a little tricky because when you think about all the things that you do pay for every month, if you're in a home or in a townhome, it adds up pretty quickly. So don't let a one price scare you off. You have to talk to someone, and it really does make sense when you go through that those steps, Mike, because I've seen that myself over the years working with seniors. So thank you for that. And there are, I guess, are there different ways that people can qualify? I guess, do they give them direction if there's maybe something else they can do to qualify?
Sure. What they'll do is look at some expenses. They'll also ask about the home or wherever the resident or the prospective resident is living. How old is the roof? How old is the furnace? How are you still using copper piping? Are there things in the home that that are going to be major expenses in the next few years that somehow you're going to have to pay for? Is it better to move on now and put that away? And the other parts of lawn care and lawn repair and everything else. If the community is robust enough and it has a transportation department that's really robust, do you need a car anymore? Do you need to
Right.
pay those? And I was hearing the news that $5 and $6 a gallon for gas
Yeah.
out in California. Do you need the car? Do you need the car insurance? Do you need all that? Because if the transportation will take you wherever you want to go, then maybe it is time to get that financial burden gone too. And all of these things factor into, can I afford the monthly rent? And you make a choice. Now, look, no one goes into this business, any of our competitors goes into this business and says, let's do a horrible job.
All right.
They don't. And it's just based on what services you really want and what you can afford. We liken it to the Hilton chain of hotels. You can go. You can do a Hampton. You can do one of those levels that it's a great
Mm-hmm.
room and it's a safe place and you get breakfast, and or you can do the Hilton Times Square where you
Right.
get the turn down service and the chocolates and the free water and stuff like that. You pick somewhere in that range that you think is where you want to be, and that's what the concierge kind of helps you find out. You visit us at thevillageunity.com and request a call, and we'll get you set up.
Very nice. I like what you said about thinking about the future expenses because I myself even start to think when I'm thinking about comparing prices of places to live, I'm thinking about now, and what have we paid for? But you are right, roofs, things like that. There's always something when you own, and that's for sure. So those are really good points to think about. And the other thing I was thinking about is when you have to kind of retrofit a place to stay in it. These communities are already set up that way. I mean, they have, thought through all of those things. So you don't have to put in, grab bars and special things on stairs and all these things that you need to do if you are going to stay in your own home. Sometimes those are necessary, right?
Absolutely true. And, when it comes to where your stuff should go, we will help you give you room dimensions so you can actually measure. We also work with moving companies and setup companies that will do that work for you. They'll come in, pack everything up for you, bring it to where you want to go, put it exactly where you want it to be. And that's an amazing service, too, that just takes a lot of that moving fear out of it, that, oh my gosh, I've got so much stuff. How do I do this? There are companies, and we work with them all the time, that will do this for you. So there's a lot of opportunity for folks out there to take the fear away of moving and make a
Mhm.
decision that really helps enhance that journey as we go through our lives.
Yeah, and you know what? Those folks are so good. We've had them on our show. Recently, we had a couple of people who do move management like that. It's amazing. And you can take your loved one or you yourself can go and do something nice, have lunch with your friends, let the move happen, and you are done. But they will set up things just the way you want them and even kind of identical to the way they were if you really want that. So I love that you're talking about move management, Mike.
It is. And, when we look at what gets in people's way, and again, it doesn't matter what community you're talking about, when you look at what's getting in people's way, it's that fear. It's that,
Hmm.
how do I do this? And there's so many places that you can go to get some help on, okay, how do I get this done? That's what we want to be part of your journey. And if it's not a good fit for you to come with us, we'll help you find the one that is.
Love that. Take a deep breath, folks, and take that step. Find out. You don't have to do anything. Just find out what your options are. I think it's important. Mike, you want to take us out?
Sure, you're listening to Seniors Rock Radio. We'll be back with some final thoughts after this quick break on News Radio WHAM 1180.
Attorney Mike Robinson here. I've dedicated over 36 years to helping clients protect their family and their wealth with comprehensive custom-crafted estate plans. When you join us for a webinar, you'll be invited to schedule a complimentary meeting with me to discuss your personal goals and concerns.
The next webinar from the Law Office of Michael Robinson is Wednesday, May 18th at 2. Attendees are eligible for a free consult with Mike, valued at $500. Register now, mrobinsonlaw.com, mrobinsonlaw.com.
I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the
Boy, that hour went quickly. Oh my gosh, let's talk about some final thoughts here on Seniors Rock. There is just there's so much happening that is good today, and I know that the news, both at home and abroad, can be overwhelmingly hard to hear. But when I hear about the things like Deanna and her team are doing every day, those little things that happens, it just gives me hope that we're going to get through this walking together down this journey every single day. The next time I'm on, I want to talk about, if I can, a guy named Sean Achor and his theory on the happiness advantage. It transformed my outlook of getting up every day and doing things. It's a great thing to look at. He's got a video on YouTube that's amazing. Check it out, Sean Achor. And now I think I'm going to go walk Loki the dog.
Well, I think you've earned it. You did a great job today. And you also just reminded me of something that our regular co-host, Mike Robinson, says, and he quotes Ram Dass, and he says, "We're all just walking each other home," and that's what we do. We try to be positive, and thank you for joining us today. You did a great job, as I said, and so did Deanna and Loki, and really thank you for sharing your personal stories, and it means a lot to me and to our listeners, and for all you do at the Village at Unity and the elders there. We're really thankful for you and all our sponsors, Mike. And that's how it works, the show. And most of our members of the are members of the blah, I can't even talk now. Most of our sponsors are members of the Greater Rochester Area Partnership for the Elderly, and that's great. We mention them often, and we're all working together in the community. We're not just here having fun. We are really working hard to benefit seniors and their families and caregivers who are so important to everyone. Speaking of great organizations, don't forget that Lifespan in May and June, they have their information and inspiration series of workshops. Good time to bring that up. Some of these workshops are online and some are on Zoom. So check the list. You can go and register online at lifespanrochester.org, or you can call them at 585 244 8400, and that's extension 201. So you can join Mike Robinson and I next week with more reasons to celebrate aging. And as I said, we're here every Saturday from noon till 1. Mike Mateo, you're going to come back again because you've got lots more to tell us, lots more stories. And I love the things you do over there. Last time, folks, that I came over to the Village at Unity for a little ride over to see Mike, as I pulled in, they have ponds there, and there were all these tiny little sailboats and people around the pond. What are they? What are those little boats? Anyway, there was a club name, and I was fascinated. I wanted to take pictures when I left, but they were already gone. So I want to know when they're doing that again. I'm going to find out from Deanna. But it was so beautiful on a sunny day to see all those little sailboats sailing around in the pond.
It's good. It's the Rochester Model Yacht Club, and they just come and grab some lawn chairs, and they put their own buoys out, and they compete with each other, and they play off the sun. We get folks that fish out there all the time. There's walking trails that are safe all throughout the Unity Hospital campus. And so if you're looking to take a walk or take a bike ride, great place to be. All kinds of tree lines, all kinds of wildlife. As Loki will go in the morning, he says good morning to his friends, the deer, and the geese and other folks that are out around that way. And it's just a beautiful spot right in Greece, New York, that anybody can go to, park your car and take a walk.
And folks, he does welcome you there, everyone. You don't have to be a resident. And I want you to mention the series that's coming up, the music that you have out there on the lawn. It looks like Pam's giving me the signal. We're going to have to go in a minute. But folks, I'll tell you, they're going to have a great series of music. We're going to talk about that every week. So stay tuned. And Mike has a special way of taking us out, and I'm going to let him do that today because, I love seniors, and I love to say Seniors Rock, but he's got something special for us today. Take it, Mike.
So channeling my inner Michael Buffer, and now for the millions of seniors around the world, remember this, Seniors